DVLT got the patent headline, but patents do not pay invoices, customers do. So today's question is not whether the patent sounds valuable. It is whether this patent can help DVLT collect cash that actually shows up in filings. I own DVLT shares, so assume I am biased. That is why today is not hype. It is a proof test. No buy, sell, hold, financial advice, or price target. Today, the DVLT Proof Box is testing three things: usage, revenue, and cash. On June 15, 2026, Datavault announced that the United States Patent and Trademark Office had issued a notice of allowance dated June 4, 2026 for a patent application called System and Method for Tokenized Minting, Authentication, and Utilization of Assets. That is a catalcatalyst. It gives investors a specific asset to track, and it connects directly to the company's bigger tokenization story. But here is the line we cannot blur. Patent allowance is not cash collection. The company says the application covers the full life cycle of a tokenized asset, minting a representation of a physical or digital asset, authenticating the asset and ownership records, and governing how the token gets used across digital platforms and exchanges. That is why bulls care. If DVLT is trying to become infrastructure for real-world asset tokenization, then intellectual property around minting, authentication, ownership records, and utilization can matter. It could help in licensing conversations. It could support partner negotiations. It could make the platform harder to copy. The strongest bull case is not just DVLT got a patent. The stronger version is DVLT may be building protected rails for tokenized assets, and partners may have to pay to use those rails, but the risk case is just as important. A notice of allowance is not a purchase order. It is not recognized revenue. It is not a bank deposit. It does not prove customers are using the platform at scale. It also does not tell us how hard the patent would be to route around, license, enforce, or monetize. Datavault's own release makes the story more interesting, but also more important to verify. The company says the patent family supports a previously announced $10 million worldwide exclusive license and underpins the tokenization platform behind $750 million in tokenization contracts and $77 million in associated fees reported for Q1 2026. Those are big claims. They are also exactly why the proof box matters. Because in the Q1 filing, the accounting base was still much smaller than the headline story. Datavault reported about $3.4 million of total net revenue, about $111,000 of gross profit, and a net loss of about $53.1 million for the quarter. The filing also said cash and cash equivalents were about $2.2 million, and operating cash used was about $8.7 million. Those numbers do not kill the thesis, but they tell us what evidence must come next. Here's the beginner concept. Patent moat and cash flow are three different things. A patent allowance is like getting a fence line recognized. A moat is when that fence actually prevents competitors from walking around you or lets you charge rent. Cash flow is when someone pays the rent and it shows up in the books. Do not confuse the fence line, the moat, and the rent check. So today's question is not whether the patent sounds valuable. It is whether future evidence moves from legal asset to customer usage to filing level economics. Here is today's DVLT proof box. Patent status, improved. Commercial deployment, not proven. License or revenue tied to the patent. Company claimed, needs filing proof. Cash collection, not proven. Per share value protected, not proven. What would make this more bullish? A final issued patent number, a named customer using the protected workflow, filing level revenue tied to the technology, and cash collection that improves margins without heavy dilution. What would make it weaker? Repeated patent headlines while filings still show small recognized revenue, low gross profit, cash burn, vague contract economics, or no-name customer usage. My view for today, this is a useful asset, not a finished proof point. The patent story belongs in the tracker. The business value has to be earned in the next source trail. Tomorrow, I am tracking DVLT's structured financing story because a large headline is not the same thing as usable cash. Subscribe if you want the daily DVLT Proof Box. Not hype, not price targets, just what changed, what is proven, and what still needs evidence. Not financial advice. Always do your own research.